Hello and welcome. We are Geeks Assembled. I'm Lee, that's Susan, and this week we are discussing a 1956 movie from the Hammer Company. This is a not sort of a horror, but it's more of a science fiction thriller. Um, Set, as we say, science fiction, set on Earth in the Cold War era of Britain. This is X the Unknown. Um, and it's this one sort of starts the Hammer trajectory into the horror genre. Um, Before this, there was sort of known just for like B movie thrillers. This moves forward a bit. I think before this there was maybe Quatermass, what they did. This
Right,
has this has got a Quatermass feel about it. Um,
because I think it was written to be a Quatermass movie.
yeah, but this is all about radiation experiment coming from underground, so it's consuming all the radiation energy in these nuclear plants and experimental laboratories. And if you get in their way, in its way, you're a goner.
Mhm.
So, X unknown, Susan. What say you?
All right, well, first of all, it's written by Jerry Sangster, directed by Jerry Sangster, uh, whose grandson is a great actor now. I don't know, but yeah, this is brilliant. It is. You do feel like Quatermass should have been part of it, but they were they were able to find a sort of a group of soldiers to kind of um, fill in that spot, um, and they had an inspector who was thoughtful and you know he was like a plainclothes police inspector, and he was working with the army, and he was also working with the physicists who are working with the army was there showing that they knew how to deal with radioactivity using a Geiger counter, and that they and there was some extra a bit of further instruction on what to do if you find materials that didn't seem normal that you weren't actually looking for, Um, like just the minute it goes to this one point, then you depart and go out and you do and you disperse, I think is what they called it, which is a different kind of thing. Oh, and it's got a great cast. Dean Jager as Dr. Adam Royson, and Leo McKern plays the Inspector Mac McGill,
Yeah,
and, and John Elliott, played by Edward Chapman, who is like this thorn in the side,
yeah.
Anyway, I was uh, I was amused, and having a real lot of affection for Leo McKern in the role of Rumpole.
Yep.
Horace Rumpole. Horace Rumpole is like his big production, and yeah, I just loved seeing him in this, and that was great. And it was also great to see Fraser Hines in this. That was cool. And I don't know, and the goo was cool because it didn't you didn't need to have a Geiger counter on it as it was moving. It would actually it would have those clicks or beeps or whatever that is, and that would sound like you were it was going to take you. Oh my gosh, it was great. So that was fun, and it was kind of shimmery. It was not just it didn't just look like drab. It was shimmery sort of goo, and I know that that stuff inspired the Blob, and probably inspired the Thing also. These ideas they get around from place to place.
Yeah, the I think was the Blob 2 years after this.
I think so. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was very similar anyway. In a way, this was like the predecessor to a lot of good things. And also, I liked the sort of structure of like the military, the way that the squatties were like, oh yeah, we already know what we're doing. You don't have to tell us anymore. And then the one guy goes down at the very beginning, and then at the end, still they're getting it's the squatties who are taking the hit. It was just like, oh my god.
mm,
Yeah, the thing progressed to get bigger and bigger because it ate this big bubble of radioactivity that was and left none behind. I mean, usually things that you know, if you got something big and gloppy like that, that would leave a trail, but apparently it left no radioactivity trail because that's what it was eating. And I don't know how that works, but that was cool. Anyway, it was very cool. And then it
yeah,
came out of like this thing that looks like a fissure. And I know that those can happen. And you know that this planet has a lot more radioactivity. They say that that may have inspired if, you know, if there, if we really are evolving, it's because of the radioactivity of our Earth. I know it also causes cancer and other sometimes horrible things like you see in, I don't know, Fallout, like Fallout itself. And then they had the whole like discussion on what to do. So we've talked a little bit about radioactivity, and this is very Cold War, and it is very Cold War Britain, and I enjoyed it a lot. And so over to you, Lee. That's my opening thoughts and quite a bit of other thoughts. So
yeah.
I have to let you talk now for a really long time.
Thank you. Well, yeah, it's one of these movies what every now and again I pop into the player and play it because there's something special about this when you know this was the tipping point of Hammer movies. Um, this is where it pushed the Hammer Productions into a certain direction. This movie, um, yeah, it's not a horror. It's more of a, as I say, sci-fi threat from underground. It's not from outer space. It's of our own making. Um, and it's a battle against time to solve what's going on. Yeah, you've got Dean Jagger as the main lead in this, American actor playing Dr. Royston. Um, cool, calm, and collective. So you've mentioned Leo McKern, a very young Leo McKern, because we all know him from his older days. He's a grumpy old rumpole, as you said.
And his voice is so much lower in the future.
Yeah, Edward Chapman as John Elliot. Edward Chapman later became more famous for being in comedy movies alongside one of our great film comedy actors, Norman Wisdom, over here.
Oh yeah.
Then we had William Lucas play Peter Elliot, who had a long career in TV. The Adventures of Black Beauty. Also appeared in Doctor Who in Frontios. Who else was in here? An early screen appearance of Anthony Newley as one of the soldiers. Now, Anthony Newley was a big theatre stage actor, did many films, most famously for the film Doctor Dolittle in the 60s, singing Doctor Dolittle. Also, he co-wrote the song Goldfinger. Also had his input into the Willy Wonka soundtrack, writing, all them famous songs from the Gene Wilder movie. And you've mentioned a young Fraser Hines as the young Ian, who's, he must have been only about 9 or 10 in this. And then you also had an early appearance of Kenneth Cope as the first soldier to die in the movie, who went on to appear in Randall and Hopkirk Deceased as the ghost. But also he appeared in Doctor Who in Warrior's Gate. So there's a lot of connections here if you're a fan of Doctor Who, of course. But and it's all sci-fi. But for me, for a 1956 movie, yes, we had Quatermass before, which was jump scares and stuff like that. But the effects in this, the one with the melting face, 1956. That I
Uh
mean, it was a
huh.
short little scene, but that was, the flesh coming away. That you saw the teeth. Back in then, that would have scared everybody shitless. And as you mentioned, the the X, the blob, or whatever it was you want to call it, the effect of that was amazing. The way it moved. And then so that it was miniature, wasn't it? It was a miniaturized, whatever it was. But the way they shot it was quite. I mean, I watched the black and white version. Did you watch the colorized one?
I did watch the colorized one, I think. Yeah.
Did it look all right? The colorized one. I was in two minds whether to watch the black and white or the color version.
It was okay. I
Because
thought
I
it would have been okay in in full color also,
yeah,
but it wasn't too distracting. You know,
yeah.
you can tell that the colors that they chose to shoot it were in there to because they looked good in black and white actually.
Yeah, well, I always think movies of certain era, mainly the 50s, and the themes of it, like this one, look a lot better in black and white. As we always say about the early episodes of Doctor Who, there were more. I don't know. The black and white just added something to it,
Hmm.
and this
True.
story led more to black and white. Um, yeah, and I also like the way at the end you don't know whether or not they have succeeded because you get that explosion at the end, and Dr. Royston, sort of walks towards the feet, the hole in the ground, and that's where the movie ends.
Right.
So,
Right.
did they destroy the creature or not? So, I mean, that is a good ending, I think,
Oh my gosh, yes.
and maybe that's where the Thing got the ending from. In the 1982 version, did
Yeah.
did the who was the was the both human or was one of them the Thing? But we'll leave it there. But yeah, it was good to sit down and watch this again. Um, and as you say, I was watching it. Oh yeah, they're so young, all the young faces. We've grown up now. I mean, all some of the actors are no longer with us, but like Fraser Hines, he must be in his 80s now. Um, yeah, I think it's a fun movie. It's not scary, but
No.
it sort of pulls you into the story,
Yeah.
and that to me is a sign of a good story, a good movie. Okay,
Oh my God.
you know it wasn't a long film. It was non-stop really. I mean, there was good explanations of what this, that, and the other do. It wasn't too
Right.
scientifically man-boggling that you couldn't understand it.
No. Right.
So yeah, I enjoyed watching this. It was one of these movies where I always thought we're going to have to do this at some point. Is this the first
Yeah.
time you've seen it, Susan?
Yeah. And I have seen all the Quatermass thanks to a really cool website that I used to watch all the time. And this this was very much, it did feel like that. And I can see how this would sort of, because the of what it talks about, it was pretty amazing. And another actor in it that if you watch Monty Python uh, and the Monty Python's Flying Circus, he was the producer of it. He was Ian McNaughton. I mean, you don't you never see his face in the show, but this is that guy, and I was just like,
Playing
you
Haggis.
should playing a guy named Haggis, which is a good Scottish name for this. There's a bunch of Scottish stuff. It was very cool.
Also, there was what's his name? I've seen his name now. Neil Hallett, who played a doctor who was killed in the X-ray room or wherever it was with the nurse
Uh huh.
screaming. He went on to he did many things, but he also appeared in Doctor Who in Time Lash.
Nice, nice.
There's a
That's
there's a few connections here.
there really are, and so the piece of the piece of understanding that they kind of leave out is that usually the stuff that's usually the way this that these things happen is through a war,
Yeah,
and these squatties were paying the price just as if it was a war, and I felt really like it was a pretty high price for that stuff to get a move on around the countryside, only to be pushed back underground. I mean, what was it? Just like coming out to sunbathe for a little bit, or push human beings around to kill some humans and then go. I don't know why the blob was doing that. Like how do you communicate with a blob? That's really what it was for me. I was like, yeah, but it was. You're right. It was, you know, pretty strongly uh, understandable, pretty strongly uh, scientific, and strongly horrible. So of course it was way science fiction. It was great, and so I really enjoyed watching it for the first time. And yeah, so that was my first take on it.
I mean, also as well, there's a scene in it with the thing is rolling across the countryside, and they're gathering everybody into the village church,
Uh huh.
and it decides to change course and it heads towards the church. And that scene with the little girl in the graveyard, uh, you know, where the vicar saves her, but
Yeah,
with the ooze coming over the wall, crushing the wall. That's for 1956. That's an
yeah,
amazing effects. I mean, today
yeah,
some people, the younger generation now will say, "Oh, that's a little bit dated," but back then, it it was must have been amazing to watch in the cinema.
yeah. And
So,
if you've got that much material coming at you, it's not a small deal anyway.
mm,
I've just recently kind of found out about the 1916 or 1917 molasses flood that happened in Boston. A big molasses tank exploded,
all
and
right, yeah,
a 12-foot wall of molasses moving 35 miles an hour, knocking apartment buildings down,
bloody
like
hell,
wiped out the north end of the city of Boston. So I mean, like a blob can do a lot of stuff,
yeah,
can really mess things up pretty bad.
yeah,
Yeah. So I mean, no question about it. That's accurate.
yeah. I mean, there was
And
also,
and the vicar was really brave in that moment. And
oh,
yeah, seriously,
and
that was great.
there was also another scene that had nothing to do with science fiction or the Blob or anything like that. It was where the father of the child who had just passed away in the hospital faced up to Dr. Royston.
Uh-huh.
Uh, that little scene where he was blaming him for his son's death through science experimentation. He had no uh, proof that that's what had happened, but he just needed to get it out and someone to blame. And
Right.
Dr. Royston stood there and took it, and then said to Mac, "He's right. You know, nothing comes good of all these experiments, really. I think what a little great scene.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh.
anything else, Susan?
Oh, that was a good scene too. Yeah, it was good. It was a great movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. That is it. Can I do final say and score?
Sure, yeah.
Or do you have anything more?
No, no, no. So back to over to you. You've got the
Okay.
floor.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'll give this 9.5 squatties who are overtaken by goo out of 10. Um, I these are these are memorials that should be made for squatties. There's a lot of squatties getting done in Iran right now on our side. So I just let this be their memorial as well. And yeah, let's hope we don't end up nukes. Like we don't need anything radioactive going off. This is just
Yeah.
no nukes. Okay, all
Susan
right.
says nukes.
9.5 though of that.
Mm.
And over to you, Lee.
Well, I enjoyed it 'cause for what it is. It's a little bit of Hammer history. Uh, it's a lovely little movie. So I'm going to give it X out of 10.
Yeah, I
If
see
you
what
know
you
your
did there.
if you know your
I
Roman
see what
numerals,
you I
yeah,
see what you did there.
I recommend it if nobody's ever seen it. Yes, it's a 1950s movie. It's not high tech sci-fi CGI. It's practical miniature models. It's old school, but it's still a good movie. So I'd like to thank Susan for joining me. You guys can join us if you want to. All you have to do is leave a message on this video, or any other video. Um, you've got to be 18 and over. Just let us know you want to be on. You need a camera and a microphone on your device you use, and we'll have you on. Also, the bell notification button on our YouTube channel needs pressing if you want to be reminded that we put videos up. And also as
Ding
well,
ding.
ding ding. Also, you can check out all our back catalogue of videos as well. So you can leave messages on them. We'll get around to reading the messages every so often. So check out the back catalogue. Is that everything, Susan?
Yeah.
Great. So that's another week done for our casts. It's been fun, Susan, dipping into the history of movies. Let's do it all again next week, shall we?
Let's.
Let's do that. So from me and from Susan, we'll see you next week. Bye for now.